you guys see, what appears to be like on each side. It looks like a passenger car, except it's flat, no cushioned kind of benches essentially, and what looks to be heavy bars and like kind of drop slots on each window. There's like 3 windows total, and there's like 2 benches facing each other, like kind of right next to each one. So there's like 6 benches total, and at the front of the car you see the Vesk and 2 humans. In between them, in like the one, they're like on up front in the right. Middle on the left hand side is the 2 Kasathis. They're like facing each other, and they, like the one kind of leans over, looks at you guys, and just shrugs and goes back to you talking. So like the back bench, it's like 2 benches on each side. They're open.
I'm gonna give Buzz the instruction to go for this. His overall parameters for this trip are: I want him to be at the backmost car as far as he can get at all times, like just generally keeping an eye on
outside. Like outside.
If he can survive that, sure. If not, just inside the train.
I mean, you don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what if there's like a little balcony he can go on. Or
looking at the cars, they have walkways around them. Actually, since you guys will be able to see this now, this is kind of the layout of the cars themselves. So like this is an example of like the back 2. So there's very little walkway around, but there are ladders at both kind of ends of the outside, and there seems to be kind of the room to walk in between them, but there's no walkway around it. And then there's latched in between each one. There's about a 5-foot gap between each car, but they seem to be locked pretty heavily, like double locks on in between each car. You guys can see it just off of the back. Like you guys are up here, and there's like a singular door on the back of the passenger car that you guys are in. The passenger car, it looks like it's purpose built to withstand stuff, and as you're looking at it, you can see some very visible blaster marks and bullet holes and sheared kind of cuts. So it kind of belays the purpose built nature of the card itself. Yeah, I mean, it looks like if he can get back there quickly, because you can hear the kind of low, dull hum of the kind of train starting to build a little bit, like like the pitch. So it sounds like he might be leaving pretty quickly here. So
yeah, I just want him to be like either in this walkway or on one of these 2.
Yeah, with the car, which is about like 2/3 of the width of this, we'll say he can quickly jump the gap, and he's able to get across there.
Just be on sentry, watching as much as he can back there, and letting me know if anything.
Yeah.
If anything.
Yeah. Just a quick athletics check.
Jesus Christ, I'm really rolling horribly tonight.
For Buzz.
Yeah. Athletics for him.
It's a 5-foot gap, so I mean, you're not really, shooting the moon. What's the total?
Total's 4. Yeah, like I said, I'm rolling horribly.
So the door opens, and you see Buzz, like, he's still in that protocol mode, so it seems like his higher functions aren't really there, like how to gauge a jump. Because you see him, like, jump, and there's a ping as he, like, drops in between the 2, and you hear the crescendo kind of building, and you see, like, the top of his head, like, kind of pop back up, and he, like, looks over, and he's, like, looking at you. And he's just like waiting as you hear the kind of
climb up, go, climb up,
and he like as the train starts, you feel the buckle of the car starting to move. You see him like now kind of getting up, and luckily he gets on that far car, and the back doors since kind of slid shut, and there's a very kind of small window where you can kind of see him now like he's like standing kind of where the edge of it is. So it's like he's like right here, and he like starts to slowly. You can see him like kind of moving back towards that area, and then eventually you see him kind of stop, and he just kind of stands. Mm-hmm. He's like kind of like turning every couple of seconds, just like looking. So, and in the middle right one, you see Shando Ren, who now she's kind of leaned back and she's facing towards you guys, but you can tell like there's only like a 2-foot gap between the benches, so she's like kind of kicked up her feet diagonally and just kind of like sitting there, and you see like the hood that she has kind of tossed back, but she's visibly just kind of like looking. She's like leaning off to the side. You see her eyes are closed.
Well, I'm gonna go to just whatever bench is open and
The back two.
Yep. So left is off, right? Like that. I'm gonna go to the back left, get on the bench, and just hand on my gun. Just start. Same thing as kind of what everybody else is doing, just watching outside and looking for trouble.
You kind of do that, and then eventually you like realize that pretty much everybody else on the train is just kind of like lounging at this point.
So after a while, it's just going to be more of like hanging out, and every so often it's a cursory glance outside. That's why Buzz is the one doing the hard work, so I can relax a little more.
Yeah.
I want to sit down and then I guess just double check my weapon, make sure there's no dust or sand in the moving parts.
And you start kind of working through the magazines. There's some dust in there, but you're able to kind of clean it up. Kind of get the chamber all clean and everything like that.
I'm gonna. Where are you? Like.
I'm at the back benches with you.
There's enough room for like probably 4 humanoids if they like were sitting upright in each kind of set of benches. So
I'm gonna get up from my bench and go sit by him, and just keep like glancing out the window and keeping my same thing. But when I see him working on his weapon, what are you working with?
What?
He's got his pistol.
My pistol.
And it's ballistic?
Yeah.
Well, then I'm just gonna, as he's working on everything, I'm gonna try and slyly reach over and overload it, whatever. It's a tiny little prank, but just like.
Oh, you're just trying to overload his like.
Yeah, communicator or whatever thing
Do I
he's
notice
got.
him doing this? Do I notice his little fingers reaching?
This little funky boy. Let me see here.
It's a small hand.
Well,
Furry hand.
It is.
this is in perception. Well, you're gonna be rolling a perception, and gosh, I wouldn't even know what yours would be. Kind of a.
Computers or sleight of hand or.
Yeah. Well, there's no like sleight of hand.
Yeah,
I mean, there's acrobatics. Is there
No,
sleight of
there's
hand?
sleight of hand.
There is sleight of hand. Okay, yeah, competing ones. Your sleight of hand versus his perception.
Oh!
24.
21.
So
I actually rolled well, and I'm like, yes!
he's being very sly about it, but you notice as you're kind of like, going up and, like you notice his little hand kind of motioning with, like he's doing some like some tapping stuff, and you notice,
I'm gonna keep
Quick little setup.
keep going. Like he noticed me, sure, but I'm just gonna keep going.
Okay.
Well, I want to slap him with the barrel of my pistol now.
Ow!
Are you now looking for it? Because I mean that's a full-time thing if you're not gonna be cleaning your gun anymore.
Well, I got interrupted. My gun's like disassembled, so I'm just gonna swat his fingers with my
Ow.
pistol barrel.
Alright, disassemble.
Another
Oh,
sleight of
so
hand
bad.
versus perception. As we'll say, like a little bit of
18,
time has
10.
passed. Okay, yeah, you notice as you're like putting your pistol back together, he's doing it again.
Do I do it? Do I overload it?
Unfortunately, you don't get enough kind of time because he notices you're up to something. So
I swat your little hands with a little metal barrel.
Skida and Zedix, what are you guys doing as the train's now starting to leave Estuar?
I crawl under the bench and lay down face first. Try to take my nap.
All right. It's
Sitting on top of the bench doing one of these.
yeah, and you got your feet across kind of like Shandoran has, and you see Zedix just kind of splayed out and like a perpendicular kind of motion. So like your legs are going across where he's laying, and you find enough room by like laying diagonally, so you're like legs underneath the one bench, and you're just kind of like this. And
Straight down.
Yeah.
Just
and,
fucking
and there's
wait.
kind of a,
Until I drift off, yeah.
yeah, and you notice Shannon Wren kind of like leaning over and like looking underneath the bench and like seeing the tops of his antenna. She like looks at you. She kind of just leans over and just kind of seems to try and find whatever semblance of like, you know, avoidance she can get as the journey to the Hive Market commences. That's where we'll pick up next time. Hopefully with less